Okay, guys. All right, we're 2 minutes after the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get this thing rolling. So appreciate everybody joining us. And Brooke, you want to kind of give us our little intro here?
Oh yeah, this is Ken and I when we have our beauty team work on us. But so we both work here at Accelerant. We're both business development managers. From my side, I'm in Atlanta. I have a history of working in tech and agencies, specifically also in the cannabis industry as well, which is another industry that we support. So Ken, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, Brooke, speak for yourself. I just came from hair and makeup, so
What? Sorry, guys.
obviously they spent a ton of time on this thing. Uh, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, my background, y'all, is primarily in the publishing world. As I like to joke, I started in the newspaper business in the mid '90s when I had both hair and abs. The abs are still there; they're just uh, under the fluff. So, but anyway, yeah, spent most of my career in the publishing world, converted kind of to the digital world about 7 years ago, and I've really kind of learned this kind of this new world. So. Um, Brooke, kind of take us through a little top line here on what we're going to cover today over the next 20, 25 minutes.
Yes, of course. So again, for our title of today, it is from chaos to clarity. So how vendor consolidation streamlines your marketing operation. So we can, of course, have a couple points we want to go through for that, such as, the monies, why managing multiple vendors is costing you time and money, as well as kind of those proactive benefits of an all-in-one solution. So having just a vendor, or you'll hear us just to, clarify, I'm going to take a pause. You'll always hear Accelerant on our side. We usually use the term partner just because we are a little bit more hands-on, as well as like for the quality products, as well as for that sales enablement and like execution. So we'll use the term vendor, but again, we like to consider ourselves partners. As well as the final thing we're going to talk about is like how our business is simplifying their marketing tech stack without sacrificing performance. So we'll dive into a couple just examples of case studies that incorporate, those full funnel strategies, which we're, talking about leaning into today, as well as some partner case studies, and then just give a little closing remarks.
Yeah, no, and again, I think that last point, Brooke, is something we'll definitely dive into in detail. Simplifying things can be great, but you also got to maintain capabilities, right? And so we have figured out. I guess we can kind of walk and chew gum at the same time. So, all right, so here's kind of your in the radio and TV biz, they say, when they turn on the commercials, hey, it's time to pay some bills. So we're going to pay some bills and give Accelerant, our parent company, a little commercial here. So Accelerant is a technology and marketing company with the goal of making the digital world simple. And so what we've done, our development team over the last 10, 12 years has built a soup to nuts platform that covers everything from what you see on screen there in our mission statement, best in class technology and software, all the customer service, award winning, and then the crucial parts, which are like digital's constantly moving, right? So you got to have that educational piece that's ongoing. We really lean into that, and then really US based operational support. So this is kind of what the world Brooke and I have been living in the last 3 years. Been crazy. We're fast growing. Inc. 5,000 lists 7 years in a row. Over 800 media partners now. The company just continues to grow and grow and grow. It's been a lot of fun. Um, and then really, just kind of top to bottom, this, people ask, well, what do you guys do? Like, what's this thing all about? Well, this is really it. I mean, a great visual. Regardless of what, I don't who's on the call here. We may have publishers, we may have radio, TV people. Whatever you're going to sell, you got to have kind of the three parts of my diagram over to the left there, right? You got to have sales enablement, you got to have training, you got to have resources, presentation decks, one sheets. Then you got to have somebody to execute. Again, whether that's a TV ad, a print ad, or a radio ad, doesn't matter. Somebody's got to execute the advertising. Then you got to be able to tell a story with the reporting, and we do that obviously through this large deck of products. So there you go. This commercial brought to you by Seller and whatever the disclaimer is at the end. Okay.
Nailed it. All right.
So, look,
Oh. Go ahead, Ken. Please intro. Please tell me.
Yes, I will intro this for you. So let's kind of start. We're going to kind of walk you guys through this start to finish. So let's just, again, money talks and we know what walks. So let's kind of start with the cost side of things. I think it's vitally important, and it's obviously what drives this conversation a lot of times for companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So what we're talking about with consolidating all of your, your vendors is like at the current moment, if it's fragmentation. So fragmentation is always going to slow you down, like as the title says there. So we want to bring that into a little bit more of like those opportunity costs. So first of all, managing multiple platform is just gonna like on a logistics level, there's gonna be more logins, there's gonna be more data silos. And also, time's going to be wasted. I think we all know here that time is money, and it will always take you longer to gather data from multiple sources. And what you're paying for when you are working with a vendor is not only for these quality products, but it's also for those seamless operations, right? And to make things easier on your team, which is most of the time going to allow them to focus on selling more digital, right? And then having multiple points of contact, if you even do have a point of contact, right? So, in some, we do know we hear from a lot of people coming from different vendors. Sometimes they're like, I kind of talk to a different person every time, or like, they don't really know like my full situation, my full story. So I think that having those multiple points of contacts can lead to a little bit of complexity, as well as it's just a lot faster and easier if you're like, oh, that's my account executive. That's my account coordinator. They know what's going on not only with this client, but they also know what's going on with this client of mine and can just get back to you a lot faster. When it comes to lack of integration, that one is as simple as it sounds. Lack of integration is going to cause inefficiency and bottlenecks, which is something we're always looking to avoid. And we don't want any decision-making processes to ever be slowed down. As well as having that unified team and that comprehensive view is going to make sure that all the digital works together. I think that we always, your team will always understand that having that full funnel approach and the way that they'll be able to explain to you as well as even your partners if we jump on a sales call is how all of those moving parts are working together, right? So we never want it to be siloed where we're like display is doing this, SEM is doing this, and SEO is doing this. We want to say like, hey, we can actually speak to how they're all working together. Because at the end of the day, telling a story, as much as like, it seems cliche and everyone talks about it, what leads to renewals, what leads to your clients getting excited, and what leads to those long-term, client, relationships with your digital relationships is going to be the story that the advertising tells, as well as the whole picture that it provides.
Well, Brooke, I love all that, and I'll actually back you up with like some real world experience for my part, like being around the publishing business and kind of seeing the development of digital over the last 30 years. A lot of times what happens is, a cool digital product will come along, and then a company builds a platform for it, and then everybody gets excited and they sign up for it, but without everything you outlined there, without that integration, without that relationship, without humans being involved, it just becomes a shiny object. And next thing you know, you're paying $1,000 a month for a login to a tool that you've never used. And I've seen
Right.
that happen so many times. So all of these things kind of cohesively working together, absolutely crucial, and definitely a real world thing. Which again, well, I mean, keep going on costs, because this is the reality that the people I think on this call are facing. It's a competitive world out there, and to really be good at digital, it can be pricey. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to costs, first of all, let's, outline there's not just your monthly costs when you decide to go a la carte with all these different, technologies and vendors, but there's also startup fees. Think about like when you first do a startup fee, all of those add up. So basically what we're showing here is just that like if you do want to run your business effectively, there's a lot of different components that go into it, right? So there's going to be the actual platform. Now there's the order management, the actual sales enablement, like that people that are, helping you to close the business. And then you have your reporting dashboards, your managed ad operations, and your also research, tools that are going to help your clients be like, wow, like this makes sense. I want to continue. I want to renew this. Like that's like a lot of great information going into it. So budget inefficiency from using different providers instead of leveraging, economies of scale. That's where we definitely, want to focus in on, having a vendor slash partner that does all of this in one, sitting in with one partner. Again, there's a lot of operational efficiencies that come from it, but at the end of the day, like, the dollar is the dollar. So like all these services, like if you did want to decide to go a la carte and use all of them, that'd be upward of 500K a year. And that's before we even started doing anything. That's before the media.
Before
There's
paid
just
media, right? Yeah.
yeah, that's like when you're just getting access to all these, and that's not even including the startup fees that come with it. So when you think about it, like how you run your business, like, well, like, are you paying someone to make your proposals, or like, are you paying for a tech for your proposals? What are you doing for reporting? Is that a separate thing that you're paying for? And the actual campaign manager, having a digital partner that you can say like, okay, like I do know their quality. I do know the efficiencies that they offer is always going to be more cost effective than going like the a la carte, little bit by bit part.
Amen. Well, and I can tell you, I know we did a previous webinar, some of our colleagues on whale hunting, and
Mhm.
the reality is, a lot of companies are actually coming to us because we do subscribe to all these analytic services, and so we tote this cost, and then our partners are able to kind of lean in on it. So there's another commercial for Accelerate, and there's
Ah,
the radio disclaimer at the bottom. So. But
um,
okay, so from there into so how does that kind of roll into the data side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is definitely my favorite, part because again, we have talked about the holistic view of how things roll into data and or like how things roll into reporting and how you're able to tell that story. So just to, hit this line, disconnected data leads to inaccurate insights, making it harder to optimize campaigns. So I feel like there's always this like fear of like, oh, putting your eggs in one basket. And I feel like sometimes that's considered a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. It's a smart thing if you know like where what that basket's made of, or like what, the backbone of it and like what they're doing. So for example, everyone knows that I'm a big nerd about like security and compliance, right? So you could have a certain partner that has all these great security and compliance regulations for like maybe one part of, you're like, oh, we use them for programmatic. But what about who you're using for SCM? What about what you're using for SEO? So when you know that you're going to have a partner that is paying for your Peer 39, your Grape Shots by Oracle, your Double Verify, to make sure that your ads aren't appearing on sketchy places in the middle of the night, your AIS, and to make sure that you're not doing invalid traffic or having, traffic fraud with impressions. I think that saying like, hey, being able to say that all of my products are backed by, these like performance guarantees by having 99 percentile completion rate, certain even guaranteed performance metrics. I consider that like all your eggs being in one basket. It's a smart thing, not a bad thing, right? And also even overarching, like your clients want to know that their security and compliance is under your one of your main interests, right? So working with a company that can say they're ISO 27001 certified, they are SOC 2 certified, and that we are like protecting customer information is it's not something that you want to say like, oh, I for sure have it for these products that we use this vendor for, but I'm actually not sure like how we're handling customer data for this other vendor, right? So I think that kind of having that overarching is a great look to have. And then also we want to have transparent campaign managers, which at the end of the day will lead to data. I can't tell you enough how many times we sometimes have clients or excuse me, partners come to us and they'll say like, oh, we were running a campaign. And then at the end of the campaign, that is when the campaign manager said like, oh, I don't think this went well, or like I think we could have done this better. And so I think like again, transparency, having that 24-hour reporting, but also having campaign managers that are, no matter what product it is, whether it's SEO, SEM, or display, that they're going to say something. If they do think like, hey, we need to optimize this, hey, this isn't going so well, hey, let's chat about maybe like pivoting on this a bit. I think that having that transparency and those people who are going to proactively talk to you and like make sure that the reporting is reflecting of that is going to be a super important part of using one vendor.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In fact, I can speak from personal experience here. I was actually an accelerant partner before I came to work here. And one of the weirdest things that ever happened was I was running this really small little campaign for it was like a boat repair shop. And Middle of the month, I got an email from a campaign manager saying, "Hey, this campaign is not, performing as well as it was the last 90 days. Here are some suggestions." And I was like, "Oh my God, there really are humans, looking at this stuff." So yeah, that fragmentation, it's not just, it obviously starts with money, but if it impacts performance, I mean, that's eventually going to hit the bottom line. So yeah, I love all of that.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I think that, what we were just talking about is how the fragmentation, can, like the eggs in one basket, like that quality control, if you have it, it's also just a lot to think about, right? So you're like, oh, I have this quality control for this partner. Who's my person here? Who they're just like, there's a lot. Again, at the end of the day, we're all human. We can't, like always be thinking about all these different variations. So I think, again, Ken, if like the power of an all-in-one ad tech solution, we've talked about like, some of the things that we want to avoid, but now, let's talk about the benefits of it.
What does a better landscape look like? So
Yeah.
for me, that is, again, I'm going to brag on us a little bit because the teams worked really, really hard to turn our platform UI.marketing into that, that seamless solution. So, the idea here, and I've seen really the development the last 3 years, and just a team that is they're just not lazy. They're just never satisfied. They're always looking for the next optimization. So to be able to put it all together in one place so you can cover, front to back, all your marketing tools, your onboarding, your campaign management, the training side, the actual running of the campaigns, like to have all of that in one place, it really does equal a lot of time and money saved. And I'll get into we've got a case study we're going to talk about. It was actually one of my customers that I brought over recently where I actually saw this happen in real time, and it was really, really cool because it was a publisher and somebody that I've known for many, many years, and I just really, really enjoyed being part of that process. So, you know, platform. So I kind of spoke there to platform, but then let's, like, for the people on the call, let's like make this really simple, right? So if you're out there on the streets, if you're doing digital right, the one thing we know is that if you can sell your clients multiple digital products, they do tend to complement each other. They do tend to boost performance. And one thing we know from a sales and management standpoint across all media companies is if you sell a customer multiple digital products, the retention rates skyrocket. And that's what we want, right? We want to go out and sell. We want that revenue to be sticky. We don't have to go out and rinse and repeat every 90 days. We want that revenue to build, 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 more commissions in our pockets, more profit to the bottom line, right? So, with us, a lot of times it can be as simple as what you're looking at on screen right here, where we'll go and say, okay, using somebody for programmatic, using somebody for SEO, using somebody for your first party data retargeting, using somebody else to manage your owned and operated and your ads on site and all this stuff. Putting all of that in one place, incredibly, incredibly efficient. Easier on the salesperson, easier on the customer success team. And again, I'll dive into some details, but from a simple standpoint, it really can be just as simple as just taking all of those products and putting them under one umbrella. And obviously, what that does, it just starts to make things easier as you kind of trickle down through the sales and renewal process. So, you know, Brooke, as you mentioned earlier, when you've got this fragmentation, you're running an SEO campaign for somebody. Well, now you got to send them a link to that dashboard. Then you're running a program. You got to send them a link to that dashboard.
Mhm.
You've got an all-in-one solution. We can send them one link, and all 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 digital products that they're buying from us, including maybe what we're selling them on our owned and operated, can all be in one place. And the efficiency that's created with that, um, it makes a huge difference. And again, as I'll cover here in a minute, really lightens the load for a lot of the people on the customer success side of things. So, again, it all really does all equal when you start to add it up. The time that these people in your organization get back because they're not having to go to 3 or 4 different places. Now they can really kind of support you guys on more like revenue generating activities.
Yeah, and
So
I was gonna say too, when I was first came to AdCellerant as a channel sales manager, so my only goal was literally to focus on different industries and what was working for those industries, so we could make recommendations on which products you should use for your dentist client, which product you should use for your lawyer client, like which group of products was the most efficient. Of course, the more products, the more of a full funnel approach you do, like the better it'll be for you. But we did find a sweet spot of like at least having three and then that leads to like a huge shoot in retention, a huge shoot in just not just retention, but just the quality and like, the different ways that you're getting people in branding and awareness, but also conversion. So kind of the different metrics that we're focusing on. So of course, we're not here. Like I think Chen and I have always kind of been talking about like, the multi-funnel approach, which is obviously a side kind of comment from today is that multi-funnel approach will always usually be the best option. But what we're even saying is, let's say you've already drank the Kool-Aid on that. We don't have to convince you anymore. And now we're saying now that you are doing multi-funnel, let's not like make it weird. Let's, have it consolidated. Let's not have the three reporting dashboards. Let's not have different people talking and also different quality control metrics for each one for sure.
that's my daughter's always telling me, Dad, try not to make it weird.
Let's just
So,
not make it like I don't even know how to say it better. Like, let's just not make it weird.
well, let's not make it weird, but let's make it on point and topical. So,
Yeah.
why don't you cover some case studies in terms of like, let's make this real for our audience here. Like, what does it look like when it's done well in practice?
Yeah, and I picked like home services and real estate for client case studies. And the main goal of these case studies, like obviously the metrics are impressive. We're all very excited by, the performance of the campaigns. But what I really want to focus on here is that this is such an easy case study to put in front of your client and say, look how all these digital roles paid together, right? So if they're this like windows and doors, I feel like home services really take a big growth in the kind of upcoming summertime. People are like, oh, let's start, working on the house. This one is an example of windows and doors. They wanted that online presence. They wanted more visitors to their website, but they also wanted to boost leads. They wanted brand recognition and decrease their cost per acquisition. So these already, when we're talking about it, there's so many different products that we're like, oh, like which ones should we use? So in this example, we had that device ID matchback, the display, the Facebook, the SEM, the organic SEO, local SEO, and performance max. So the main part I want to hone in on is that we are able holistically looking at this case study, look at now there was an increase in leads, there was this much increase in engagement, but then even if we can say there was this much decrease in cost per lead, but also it's not like all just smushed together. So we can see that 206 of those calls came from SEM, which is just so I feel like it's so much more effective in front of your client to not just say like this was display, this was SEM, this was SEO, but kind of being able to put it in a nice combined holistic view for them. And now they can see how many leads they got, the impressions, that final CPL, as well as just that big ol' increase in revenue and kind of having that all in a one-stop shop for them that just shows them how everything worked.
Well, Brooke, I don't know whether you're psychic or whether you're having sidebar conversations with Jeremy, but I'd noticed just this morning you had picked home services, and then our next one here, real estate. I just got a notification in our training Slack channel that Jeremy released spring retail hot category studies and guides on the hottest industries this spring, and real estate and home services were two of the five that he released just this morning. So I don't know whether you're sidebarring or you just know this. You definitely picked two good ones. So
I
tell
feel like it's just been coming up a lot. Like whenever we're talking, people are like, home services, real estate. So maybe that's a little bit of, insider information where, we're telling people, I feel like these are just great industries. If you already are a partner, like to go, yeah, download those case studies, like take them because your clients also don't know what they don't know, right? So if I work in real estate, I might not know that, display, social, SEM, local news retargeting, and owned and operated could be so effective. I probably don't even know what either any of those even are, right? So kind of having like the case studies is obviously a huge help. And for this real estate company, they were in a more like affluent areas that they were targeting, and they wanted to increase their visibility, gain more website, traffic, and increase leads, conversions, more listing, and of course, brand awareness. So like these companies do have like a similar goal in mind, but when you have that many goals, it's not just like, oh, increase brand awareness, right? It's like there's a lot of goals that they have. So again, similar to the home services, 15.3 million impressions, but also 195 total conversions, engagement conversions, clicks, lead conversions, and click-through rate are all going to be here that, bring in all the data combined into like a one easy form for your client, and, speaks to all the different products.
Well, and again, what I love about this is, and I'm going to kind of take up the partner side of things, but
Yeah.
really what you're showing with those two case studies is again how you can take, a very complex, omni-channel campaign, make it work for the customer, get them good ROI, and then be able to explain it in one place because you got one company that's managing all those products. So that's kind of customer side, and that's what hopefully the people on this call are out. This is what they would take to the streets. But like from a management standpoint, I want to speak a little bit to, again, kind of the core of this webinar, which is kind of that vendor consolidation. What is that? What can that look like as a company? So I've actually put this together, y'all. This is actually a customer of mine that is now a partner. And what they were facing was really kind of everything that Brooke and I outlined from the beginning. So very large publishing group, 100 plus salespeople. They're using six different digital vendors, actually seven if you include a reporting subscription service that they were trying to use, but it didn't even service all six. When you combined all that with the different ordering and the reporting, it was actually 12 different systems that they were dealing with. Salespeople were kind of frustrated. The customer success team was stretched trying to manage all of this. So when I was able to convince them and kind of break it all down and bring them under the Accelerant tent, with all the promises of, what we talked about here about streamlining, we really did solve so many problems from them. So again, from six digital vendors over here to one. So, just got rid of all of that noise. Really invigorated the sales team. They loved our training, our bite-sized 5 minute, 7 minute videos, the face-to-face. To me, like as a old sales guy, like just talking sales with another human, like spitballing ideas. There's the value of that still in 2025. It's such a value. And so sales team really got excited about having, somebody that could get in the trenches with them. Again, all the tools simplified their stuff. The customer success team is probably a gigantic impact because these are the people that had to navigate all those platforms, navigate all the different proposals, and then come up with the reporting and like make it right and hand it to the salespeople and tell them what to talk about. And again, they're navigating 6, 12, just they're juggling, right? So, to be able to put all that in one, you can see my bullet points there. I mean, it just really made their world a lot simpler. And then, again, at the end of the day, this, our platform, our company is not just like tech. We are salespeople. For our partners, we can send people into the field. And with this company, within the first 60 days, we actually did an in-market. We dropped parachuted two of our people down out of the sky into their market. We did a webinar or a hosted in-person seminar. I think it was like a lunch and learn with a bunch of their local advertisers, signed up a ton of new digital, went out and did four-legged calls. And it was well over 100 grand in new business that was signed literally over like a 2 day period. So, again, all of this together, again, kind of back to your point, Brooke, don't be afraid of putting all your eggs in one basket. Just make sure it's a daggum good basket. If
Good
it's a good
basket.
basket, put them all in there and, and multiply.
And
So,
then yeah, I was gonna say too, Ken, I think that like, well, not in every aspect, but I think we're kind of leading back to the whole like less is more when it comes to also keeping it clear for your client. But I think it's also like your sales team as well. Their happiness and their understanding that they have like a team is gonna make them sell more. Just because like, and also them knowing that they are armed with case studies, they are armed with like, our little worker bees in the background as well, is that like not only will it benefit your clients, but it'll also make, I feel like, your team be more comfortable, like from that example of yours as well. So
No doubt about it. And again, it really kind of references back to that example I gave of what I've seen over the years, which is like you find this new tech shiny object and you sign up all excited, but then if no one's talking about it, if no one's engaging and communicating and collaborating on a week-to-week basis, it just sort of fades off into the distance and no
yeah.
one's using it and you're paying for it. So, okay, so let's kind of button all this up. So how do we, kind of how do we do this? Like, what does this consolidation look like? So for me, let's kind of keep it simple. So what we do is we feel like what you need to do as a company, got to sit down and kind of look at it top to bottom. You just got to kind of do a diagnosis. You got to diagnose the disease and just try to figure out what's going on. So look at it all top to bottom, ask a ton of questions, consult with somebody, again, a third party like us that could sit down and really kind of break it out. Um, lay out those costs. One of the things that I have started doing frequently, Brooke, and I know you're doing a lot of the same stuff. We'll do a cap analysis. So we'll do a true cost analysis, uh, you know, look at cost today versus what cost could look like tomorrow if we did this consolidation. Straight up, just put the numbers out there in black and white, assess it. Yeah, we can, everybody in this room is a salesperson of some product of some sort. We can all rah, rah, rah all we want, but again, the bottom line is the bottom line. So we got to really get to those raw costs, and we can certainly assist in that. And then again, at the end of the day, you've got to begin. I always say it's beginning with the end in mind, right? And at the end in mind is increasing, return on investment, driving profitability. Salespeople make more money, they make more commissions, company makes more dollars to the bottom line. We've got to kind of set that as an overarching goal. And if we all win, boom, here we go. Everybody makes more money and
Mhm.
so Brooke, I think I was going to talk about this, but
You gonna throw
I'm
it
a big
back to me. So we obviously chatted about like all of these, like, these platforms, order management, the sales enablement training. We went through, like, how doing the a la carte like can, be costly. But again, it's also that categorically that it's you're having to split up everything instead of having it all in one place. So whether that be order management, the learning, the education, the sales materials, the pipeline, the yield management. Like if you have a different person for yield management, then manage ad operations again. Now we're siloing things that should be, talking to each other. And then also even creative services. It's like, be if you can be an all in, like I feel like actually this is a point I was just thinking of. Like a lot of our partners come to us, right? And they're like, I want to be an all in one stop. Like let's say I'm offering radio or I'm offering broadcast. My client also wants digital. They also want SEO. They also want yield management. We always talk about like be that high quality, like one-stop shop, right? So we definitely want to think about that when we're also talking about like who we're doing partner business with. So it's like proof is in the pudding. And like let's say like you use someone for certain products and you're like, this is working really, really well. I like the customer service. I like the reporting. I like how it goes. Then like it's good to kind of stick with that and definitely, not have to, be checking out all these different outlets for that as well.
No, I think all those points are really strong. And again, it's something we covered on another webinar, but I think it's always worth mentioning because I know it is a hot topic right now with everybody in the that's selling digital media, which is the training side of things. The one thing I do really think we've done well on the training side is also the trackability of it. So you got a sales team, are they watching the 5 minute videos? I mean, there's just a 5 minute video. Are they watching?
Yeah.
Um, we're able to track all of that. So from a management standpoint, that does help to know that, again, Brooke, as you said, you put all the eggs in one basket. How do we know how do we know we're keeping them warm so that they hatch and turn into revenue, so to speak. So anyway, okay.
We're apparently farmers now. It's all
How do we
good.
get we veered into old McDonald had a farm on our theme. Um, But no, so again, we really pride ourselves on just getting better at what we do, and it's obviously brought a lot of very credible media organizations to us as partners. And again, just again for the people that are on the call, some of these are big companies, but I want you to know that it's really important for me to say this. Like, I was an Accelerant partner. I had like three salespeople. Okay. Small publishers is like where we started. We still love those people. Still make up a big part of what we do. But obviously all these advanced capabilities have allows us to kind of scale up so we can handle big and small. Brooke, I know you and I could spend an hour on bragging on the team because at the end of the day, you and I go out and we sell this a product, we bring in the new partners, we hopefully help make their lives easier. But the magic is the people that work behind the team, behind the team that works behind the scenes for us and for our partners, 100% US based. So, I mean, the trophy case over here just keeps growing. The customer service awards, now certified B Corp, a lot of hoops to jump through to do that. So, just continues to roll. Like I said, can't brag on the team enough. So, all right. So we were a little over our 30 minutes, but that's okay. It's been fun, good discussion. Looks
Yeah.
like everybody stayed with us to the end, so we didn't run anybody off, Brooke. So why don't you button us up and let's get off of the old McDonald had a farm theme and let's
Yeah.
go techie and go into talking about kind of
Yes.
our DNA
So
and then we'll send everybody home with that.
yeah, no more from us. But yes, it's in our DNA. Just to finish off, opportunity lies directly, in a nice sweet spot, right? So that's going to be combining the upfront strategy, the performance-driven design, the award-winning tech, and your partners are going to see, or excuse me, our partners are going to see the best results. You're going to see the best results with your clients. And you see all these Venn diagrams. They have a nice little meeting point in the middle. Don't overextend. If something works, if something is working really well, and then you are seeing the results, there's definitely a really good benefit to putting your eggs in one basket. Sorry, I had to, but and like utilizing a partner that's going to feed to that sweet spot that we're referencing, and create those cross department efficiencies for y'all.
That's what it's all about. Well, guys, it's been really great kind of going through this with you. Again, it's here in 2025, we know that all the trend lines continue to show digital doing like this. Our goal is to really, again, help you guys continue to drill for digital oil or mine for digital gold, whatever, however you want to do that analogy. That's what we're all about. So if you want to learn more, or actually, get a full demo of the platform, we've got our QR on screen here. You can grab that and
Ken, someone
have
actually asked, I know that you
oh,
are the best at
yep.
explaining yield management. We actually had a question. Someone wanted to know what yield management was, if you want to either speak to that or, type a response.
Yeah, sure. No, no, I can cover that very quickly. So yield management for us is um, in terms of your owned and operated website, we consider it like finding change in your couch cushions. So essentially, what we do with yield management, you may be selling your owned and operated inventory. Hope you are, because you have almost 100% profit on those display ads that you're selling onto your website. But you've got an unsold inventory every month. So what we've done is we've got an entire division at Accelerant that can not only help you manage your owned and operated. So we can manage the inventory, make sure you don't oversell, undersell. And then anything that is unsold, we've got some kind of premier publishers that we reach out to, and we basically help backfill that inventory for you. 80-20 split. You keep the 80, we take a little 20 for going out and finding you that change in the couch cushion. So yeah, the guy that we've got running that division is absolute savant in this world. He's been doing it for 20 years and really amazing at it. So yeah, that's something that's been added into our suite of products and services literally just within the last 12 months, and it's absolutely taken off like crazy. So yeah, thank you for the question. Very good. Okay, I think we've covered it.
Thanks so
Brooke,
much, y'all.
yeah, nothing else to add. Are we signing off?
We're signing off. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Oh, have a great day.
Are we good?
And scene. Bye.